Yoda was one of 10,000 Jedi serving the Republic in its final century. He was the only one who held the rank of Grand Master, the only one who'd spent 800 straight years training generation after generation of Jedi. Then, in a single day, nearly every other Jedi in the galaxy was hunted down and killed. Yoda was still standing, still teaching, still passing on everything he knew. 7 proofs of exactly what set him apart from every Force user the galaxy ever produced. How does one being, from a species so rare nobody in the galaxy can even name its homeworld, holding no seat on the Galactic Senate, become the single opponent 1,000 years of Sith scheming couldn't remove from the board? Of every Jedi Palpatine wanted erased, none mattered more to him than the one who felt Order 66 begin. From a jungle world clear across the galaxy, and who still, in the end, simply walked into exile on a swamp planet and waited him out. In this video, we're looking at 7 confirmed abilities that set Yoda apart from every Force user in Star Wars history, and one of them is what actually saved his life during Order 66, before he even reached for his lightsaber. And there's one more thing on this list, something Palpatine chased his entire life and never once achieved. We'll get to that. Begin with the lightsaber, the most obvious proof there is. Yoda's chosen form was Ataru, Form 4, the most acrobatic and highest risk style in the entire Jedi arsenal, built on speed, jumps, and constant motion. According to the Revenge of the Sith novelization by Matthew Stover, Mace Windu understood exactly why. Ataru was Yoda's answer to a weakness, the same way Windu's own fighting style was an answer to his. Turn a body built for a cane into a body that never stops moving, and the disadvantage disappears. On Geonosis, in Attack of the Clones, Yoda fought Count Dooku to a standstill, until Dooku brought a hanger support pillar down onto the 2 wounded Jedi he'd just beaten, and fled in the chaos rather than let the duel finish. Yoda's judgment reached past his own blade too. When Mace Windu built Form 7, Vaapad, the only lightsaber style ever created to channel a Jedi's own darkness back out as light, it was Yoda who watched him most closely, wary the technique could pull its creator somewhere he couldn't return from. In Legends material, that wariness was proven right. Sora Bulk, the Jedi Master who helped refine Vaapad, was consumed by that same darkness and defected to Dooku. Windu stayed the one exception. Not bad instincts for someone who still needs a cane to cross a room. Unlike a duel though, some of Yoda's biggest displays of power involved no blade at all. Most Jedi, at best, can deflect a blaster bolt. Almost none can survive direct contact with Sith lightning, and only a handful in the whole saga are ever shown redirecting it back at the source. On Geonosis, Yoda caught Count Dooku's lightning bare-handed and threw it aside like static. 3 years later, in Revenge of the Sith, he did it again, standing in the Senate chamber, absorbing a sustained barrage from Darth Sidious himself, and hurling it straight back at him. In Legends material, this specific skill even has a name, Tuda Minis, the ability to absorb and redirect raw energy through the Force. A discipline so difficult that entire Jedi training courses never produced a single student who fully mastered it. Personally, this is the quietest, terrifying image in the whole saga. Not the lightning itself, but how little it seems to cost Yoda to take it. Catching a Sith Lord's own weapon bare-handed is one thing. What Yoda did to entire warships is another. Every Jedi can move an object with their mind. Few can move one the size of a starfighter, and fewer still can do it without breaking a sweat. On Dagobah, in The Empire Strikes Back, Yoda lifted Luke Skywalker's submerged X-Wing clean out of a swamp, a feat Luke himself had just called impossible. That alone would headline most Jedi's entire career. But during the Battle of Coruscant, in the 2003 Star Wars Clone Wars micro-series, Yoda went further. With the Force alone, he seized incoming C-9979 landing craft, 200-meter separatist transports, each built to carry hundreds of battle droids, and slammed them into each other mid-air. Not one ship, multiple ships, simultaneously, weighing hundreds of tons apiece, redirected like toys. An X-Wing is a party trick. Multiple 200-meter warships at once is a different category of power entirely. If breakdowns like this are the kind of deep dive you're here for, hit like and subscribe. There's plenty more of the galaxy left to take apart. So much for brute force. The next kind of power never throws a punch, and it's the one that actually kept Yoda alive. His own senses. Not what you expected from a list about raw power. Or is it? Yoda's precognition wasn't limited to visions of the future. It worked in real time, galaxy-wide. In Revenge of the Sith, the instant Order 66 triggered, Yoda felt it. Thousands of Jedi dying within moments of each other, ripped from the Force across the galaxy. That same order caught Ki-Adi-Mundi, Aayla Secura, and Plo Koon off guard. Yoda wasn't. Commander Gree had already drawn his blaster, aiming at Yoda's head, but the half-second of warning was enough. Yoda struck before Gree could fire. In Legends material, that awareness scales up into battle meditation. In the novel Yoda, Dark Rendezvous, Yoda uses it during his mission to Vajun to steady a decoy standing in for him under a Sith Lord's scrutiny. Every other module on this list is about power aimed outward. This one is why Yoda was still alive to use any of it. Remember the thing Palpatine chased his whole life and never got? This is where it starts. After Order 66, in Revenge of the Sith, Yoda didn't just lose a duel to Sidious in the Senate, he lost the galaxy. So he did something almost no Force user in the saga manages for more than a few hours. He disappeared completely. For more than 20 years on Dagobah, Yoda suppressed his own presence in the Force so thoroughly that Darth Vader, a man actively hunting surviving Jedi across the galaxy, never once sensed him. Not a glimpse, not a flicker. For 2 full decades of concealment, most Jedi could hide a ship. Yoda hid a soul, indefinitely, from the 2 most dangerous Force sensitives alive. And on that same swamp, Yoda began the work Palpatine could never touch, learning through his dead friend Qui-Gon Jinn how a Jedi could hold on to their identity after death itself, something no Sith obsessed with staying alive at any cost ever figured out how to do. That lesson wasn't finished on Dagobah either. Yoda still had to prove he'd actually learned it. Also on Dagobah, Luke Skywalker later walked into a cave and saw his own worst fear. A vision of Vader wearing his own face. Yoda had faced a version of that same test decades earlier, and the difference is what actually matters. Fear and anger broke Anakin Skywalker. Disillusionment and ambition pulled Dooku from the Order entirely. Different doors, same dark side behind both. Yoda's answer to every one of the Council's darkest moments was the same. Acceptance instead of resistance. Letting go instead of gripping tighter. According to Star Wars: The Clone Wars, that same discipline is what let Yoda walk into the netherworld of the Force itself and return with his mind intact. A trial the show frames no other living Jedi of the era could have survived. Every Sith in the galaxy built a philosophy around conquering the dark side by force. Yoda's method was simpler and far harder to copy. He just never let it in. That was already the deepest the Force goes. What Yoda did with it next, no Sith Lord in 1,000 years of trying ever managed. Every Sith Lord in the saga feared the same thing, dying with their power unfinished. Sidious clawed at cloning and dark ritual for decades to cheat it. In the same era, on the same swamp, Yoda had already solved the problem, not by staying alive, but by learning how to survive his own death. Taught by Qui-Gon Jinn and later passed down to Obi-Wan Kenobi, this was the technique that let a Jedi retain their identity within the Force after their body was gone, appearing afterward as a conscious presence rather than vanishing entirely. When Yoda finally died on Dagobah in Return of the Jedi, at 900 years old, he told Luke, "Twilight is upon me, and soon night must fall," and then simply became part of the Force. He'd spent 9 centuries learning to serve rather than command. That, personally, is the real answer here. Sidious ruled a galaxy and still couldn't survive a duel with his own mortality. Yoda ruled nothing and beat death outright. Palpatine spent a lifetime chasing power that ends the moment the body does. Yoda spent his making sure his never would.